Hey everyone, something a bit new today. This is the prototype of the Firefly by Haohan, and this is one that they've sent me very kindly to do an unboxing on and a review. So basically it comes with this very nice EPP foam case, and they've sent this little tag with it as well, which is a nice little touch. And if we open this up inside, here's the plane. And it's worth noting this is the prototype, so this is not quite the final version yet. They're going to do some tweaking. Things they have confirmed is that the colour is decided, so it will be this sort of silvery grey EPP, but things like where you have the colour gradients and things like that, they're going to refine that and some of the mouldings as well. Although saying that, it seems to be beautifully made. It's a really dense EPP. I'd say, if anything, it's maybe slightly denser than the foam used by Ewing for their T1 and T2, but it has a much smoother finish on it. But little marks like this that won't be in the final version they've assured me. And if we look at some of the mouldings, like the plastics down here and where they've covered in the servo wires, it is very nicely finished, including this wing clip, which is actually spring-loaded rather than a thumb screw. So if we just take the risk of using that there, and what I'll show you, actually before I show you that, one of the other things you may have noticed is all the control surfaces on the Firefly are direct drive. So the servo is mounted there, and the servo arm clips straight into the control surface, and then you have this carbon rod reinforcing that control surface, but everything is direct drive. I'm not quite sure on the full spec of these servos. They are metal geared. I assume they're digital because this is the TS08MD, so I'm guessing it's a digital servo, but I haven't got the full specs on that yet. Hopefully I'll get a hold of those and I'll put those in the comments. And we have on the end of the wing some navigation lights, and they are coloured red and green, so obviously red on the port wing, green on the starboard wing. So if we just take the rest of this out, this is the main fuselage, and it's a slightly unusual setup because you've got the wings and the motor and everything up high, and then the main body of the plane is down below, so it's got a very low centre of gravity, which should make it very stable. And underneath they've got these hard plastic landing skids. The motor itself is a 2216 1100 kV, and it is designed for 4S, either a 4S 1P or 4S 2P battery pack. And on that note, actually, in this section of the case here, we've got 3 slots, and these are for storing batteries. So you can either store 6 4S 1Ps or 3 4S 2P packs in the case there, and you've still got the space for odds and ends there as well. Just grab out the rest of this as well, so we can have a look at that. So this is the vertical stabilizer with the rudder. Again, this is where the servo clips into that. And just bring out the tailplane section here as well, so we can direct drive onto the elevator, reinforced full length, the carbon spar. And that, if we just undo this is held in with a thumb screw. So if we just unscrew this thumb screw, then that should just unscrew a little more. How am I doing this? There we are. So it just slots into there and then screws up. And then this will all clip together. So in here we have 6 little connectors. So obviously for the rudders at the back, so the rudder and the elevator. And these are little spring-loaded connectors. So when it pushes into the back of the plane, those are held tight, so you have a nice good connection. So let's just assemble this now so we can see the full thing. So that aligns there, and then you've got 2 little locating slots there. So that just pushes in and then screws up. So here, the wings. Just clip on like so. Nice positive click. On this side as well. Positive click. Now, Haohan seem really keen to get, you know, all the details right on this. Even down to the point, one of the things they were a bit upset about, and they mentioned, is that where it says press there on the clips, the company that's made the clips for them has actually got the press upside down on this side. So rather than mirror the writing, they've actually just swapped it over. And they're actually going to fix that in the final version. So their attention to detail on things like that seems really good. They obviously want to get things right the first time. And little details like this. So this is where the GPS goes underneath here. So there's two little screws, and if you take that off, there's a bay for the GPS. But rather than just have a plastic cover, they've actually layered it with some EPP foam so it matches the rest of the plane. So it has some really nice little details. And if we go to this section here, this is where the batteries go in. So again, right, they haven't used magnets, they've actually used a proper clip. And if we undo that and pull that out, this is where your battery goes in. So there's a Velcro base there and a strap, and all the wires for everything are pre-done, all labelled up. So wiring, in fact, all labelled up in Chinese, I think. So maybe we'll have to get on with the translator and see what those are, or we can just do a bit of trial and error. I'm guessing those are going to be the LEDs for the wingtips. One of those is going to be for the motor, and one of those is going to be for the ailerons. So it should be fairly easy to figure that out. In fact, that's going to be for the motor. These are going to be the ailerons, LEDs, and the battery. I'm guessing the ESC is mounted somewhere in here. Obviously, the motor wires we can see go into the carbon tube here, and this is all proper carbon fibre as well. So it's nice and lightweight and strong. So I'll just cover that up. That's where the battery goes, and behind here, I'll just swing that around, is where the flight controller goes. So I'll just pop it open. So this is the thumb screw, and the flight controller sits in this little tray which slots into this area here. And you've got the rear LED light there, so there's one of these lights here. And this is actually the LED controller. So this is used to control the LEDs for both the wing lights and this rear light. And there's a button on it with 3 modes. So mode 1 is the nav LEDs flashing, and this rear LEDs are pulsing. Mode 2 is all 3 lights solid, and mode 3 is all the lights off. And there is actually a spare connector there as well. So if you wanted to connect a third WS2812 LED, you can plug it into that board and control another light. If you wanted one underneath, or maybe a strobe light on top, you've got that option. So that's the sort of the flight controller bay, and obviously the GPS, as we mentioned, sits up there. One other thing I did forget to show you before is they have even thought about provisions for the antennas, for the radio antenna. So there's a little hole here which has a hollow, which goes into a hollow section up into this part here. So you can actually mount your crossfire antenna, or whatever system you use, up inside the plane here. And because foam is completely RF transparent, it means you can have all your antennas mounted internally, which just keeps them nice, even. There's nothing going to be sticking out there. It keeps everything nice and streamlined. So if I just show you some of the electronics, well, actually before we do that, I'll show you this as well. So this is the nose, and this is a detachable nose. You just unscrew these screws there. And for cooling, they have a little inlet vent down here and an outlet vent there. So the cooling will go sort of through the nose up there and then out there. And this nose is completely open in this space, and it has a section here for a tray to slit in, to just slot inside for a gimbal. So I do have one of the new HEQ gimbals, which I'm going to stick in there and try that. So that should give some very nice footage. But the plane does also come with this nose, which is designed for a 19mm wide camera with this sort of EPP section here. And one of the nice attention to details as well is they've got two mounting holes there. So if you have a camera like the DJI O3 or one of the Walksnail Pro cameras with the two mounting screws, you can obviously have the top screws there, and then you've got this slotted section, so you can rotate the lens angle down whichever way you want it. That suits your flying style. I'm not quite sure what these mounting points are for yet. So perhaps you can mount something else underneath there, or an antenna holder, but they're there for something. Or maybe they're even for holding a VTX there, so the VTX was right above the cooling. That could well be what those screws are for there. So I'm just going to bring this over here and show you the prop. So this is the prop that comes with the plane. This is a 9 by 4.7 inch prop. Let me just take it out of the packet. It is proper carbon fibre. Now, Bonafide Pirate, who's already done his uploading of his review on this, found that his prop was quite unbalanced. I've not checked this one yet, but looking at this, I can see there are some scuff marks. So I don't know if this has been balanced, this one, at the factory. I have got a Jubro prop balancer, so we'll stick it on there and see how that comes out. But it looks a nice prop anyway. It's incredibly stiff, carbon fibre, and very lightweight. But we'll see how that performs. And we also have here the flight controller. Now, this comes in perhaps the most armoured flight controller case I've ever seen. It looks like some sort of waterproof case you'd use for, I don't know, transporting something waterproof. I think even down to a little seal around here. In fact, there is a rubber seal there for this case, which seems completely overkill. But this is the flight controller you get with it. And at first glance, I thought, well, it's a Speedy Bee, because it has the black, red, and the yellow connectors like the Speedy Bee has. But actually, it's not. It's made by a company called, look there, Baldwin RC. And I've not heard of them before, but I've been told that they're a reasonably small company that makes flight controllers, and they sort of customized it for Haohan. And normally these, in fact, we can see in the picture there, they come with two XT30 connectors. And you'll notice here, this one actually has 3. And you might be thinking, well, why has it got 3 connectors if it only has 1 motor? And that's because Haohan will be bringing out a VTOL kit. So they have a tilt rotor VTOL version, which has obviously the 2 tilt rotors in the front and an inverted motor on the rear. So the flight controller that comes with it will be already capable of handling VTOL, because you've got 3 connectors already there. It obviously has a USB-C port there, and all these plugs for the UARTs. What's quite nice as well is, in addition to the plug, you've also got these solder pads. Personally, I prefer to solder all my connectors on rather than use plugs. It's just the way I've always built them. I prefer a solder connection rather than a plugged connection. But those are there as well. You have a micro SD slot there. There is a DFU button there for reflashing, and these do come pre-flashed with RGPilot, but the flight controller is suitable for iNav as well, and there is an official target, I'm told. I think it does share the Matek F405TE target. I will confirm that, but it isn't a custom target. There is an official one. One thing I did notice is that on the soldering at the bottom there, some of these solder pins have been bridged, which I don't know if that's just lazy soldering or deliberate. Obviously it is the earth rail, so it's not really going to matter, but it does seem a bit unusual to see blobs of solder there. Again, it is a prototype, so things like that may well not appear in the final version. But they've been very keen for me to give all feedback, and as I've said, they really seem to want to get this right. And they said, any feedback, good or bad, let us know. because we want to make sure that, you know, we're not missing anything. And some of the detail they've gone into with the design seems really well considered. So things even with the wings. So they've told me that it's a high lift airfoil section, but the wing's twisted. So it's the design being that in a stall scenario, the inner part of the wing will stall before the outer part. So you still have control in the roll axis, because you're not going to stall the tip before you stall the center of the wing. And little details like that are quite nice to see. And obviously they've got the cooling vents and things like that all nice and molded in. So it's a fairly streamlined design. They've run virtual wind testing on the CAD design. I don't quite know how that compares to proper wind testing, but they're all things that have been looked at in the system, in the design of the overall plane. But that's it for me really with the unboxing. First impressions are that it's really nicely made, and appreciating that this is a prototype, this is not the final version. I'm really impressed. I mean, the detail on the plastic moulding is phenomenally good, and I'm very keen to get this one built, which, looking at the way it's all pre-set up, it shouldn't take me too long to get this all built. I'll put the gimbal in there with, I'll be using the Walksnail VTX, and then we'll get this up in the air and I'll get some flight footage for you. But there we are, that is the Haohan Firefly, and in the next video we'll be seeing this one in action in the air. That's all from me. Thanks very much. Bye. Okay.
Alright, you're in. You're in the video.
This is great fun with kids. Done. Yeah!